Yeah, so I just had like a shower and I tried to dye my hair, but it didn't really work. It's just got a weird reddy colour, reddy orange. Yeah, but that's what you get for using cheap hair dyes. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel a little bit anxious right now. I have like a tight feeling in my chest, and I don't really know what to do about it. This happens sometimes. I try to avoid it from happening. Um, but yeah, I checked my blood pressure as well just because it was feeling high, and it was like slightly high. I was at 124 over 80, 70, 76 I think, which is slightly high. Not very high, but yeah, it feels higher than usual. For a while it's been under 120 anyway. This is all very irrelevant stuff. So today I've been at uni. I haven't actually had any classes on though because the university is still on strike. I say still on strike. I don't know if I actually mentioned that, but yeah, I went in for some reason. Oh yeah, I went in to attend this talk on veganism, which was quite emotional in some parts, but it was good. It was informative. It had a good balance between reason, facts, and emotional stuff. So experience. Um, I would say it was probably split 80-20. So 80% of it was very like factual, and 20% of it was more so focused on the actual experience of the animals, because that plays a part in ethics as well. And then I went, some of my lecturers hold this thing. This is the first time I've attended. They held it last week and they held it this week as well. Where basically they'll go sit in, like the common room type thing. And they'll, take a budget out from the philosophy department and they will offer to buy, students who want to go down and have a chat with them a coffee. So I decided to go along, met up with a couple of other students as well while we were there. And it usually only lasts an hour. It's supposed to last an hour, but we were there for like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And it was really interesting. We talked about a lot of different things, from like philosophical topics, including idealism and rationalism. And I haven't really studied much of either of these, but it was interesting to get, I guess, to dip my toes in the water a little bit and to broaden some of the philosophical concepts that might come in handy at some point. So that was good. We covered a little bit of Kant, Plato, Aristotle, a little bit of political philosophy, well, quite a bit of political philosophy actually. We were trying to discuss the ideal society, similar to what Plato does, but obviously in a more contemporary way, which was interesting as well. Yeah, and then we discussed some essay writing tips, and yeah, so it was really good. It was good to sit and talk to people about something I'm interested in for a prolonged period of time. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll probably be going again next week. I think I don't want to like hog all of the time, but whatever. I mean, people have to show up, don't they? And these are the resources that get provided to us as students, and because we're paying such a high amount, we might as well take advantage of that. So it was interesting. I've been reading a book on phenomenology, which is also one of the things we got talking about as well, which was interesting because I started reading the book. I started reading the book a few months ago. I picked it back up this morning, and then we ended up talking quite a bit about phenomenology, with the lecturers and students. Maybe like 5 of us or something. So that was good because I find phenomenology very interesting. Because I don't think we can escape from experience, which is true. We literally can't escape from experience. Maybe we can escape from experiencing certain things, but anything that we come into contact with or have knowledge of is as a result of experiencing it in some way. And by experience, I don't necessarily just mean sensual experience. Sensory experience, I mean something more like general perception. We have a perception of a thing, and then that leads to having knowledge of it. Without having the perception, we have no knowledge. And perception, again, I mean very broad. So, within our consciousness, right? Anything that comes into our consciousness, in order for us to have knowledge of something, it has to come into our consciousness. And that doesn't necessarily mean the physical thing has to come into our consciousness, in that we have to visibly see it. It could be someone telling us about it, but someone telling us about something creates a picture of the thing that they're talking about in our consciousness. Okay, and that's inescapable when we're trying to get to know things, right? And we also have to take that into account. We have to take that into account. The fact that experience is, or perhaps knowledge is, contingent upon our experience. So, I think I've said this before. When we experience the world, we simultaneously experience ourselves, right? So that means that the way in which the world actually is in itself is not apparent to us. The only thing that's apparent to us is our perception of the thing. And that's not... I don't know if that's 100% true, but... Because, well, the thing in itself, like, we can't know what that is. Is there even a thing in itself without a perceiver there to define it? And perhaps there's something there, but we can't know what that something is, and that something is almost meaningless without the perceiver. Okay? And the perceiver could be something very broad. I don't know. I really don't know. I was thinking, I was reading in the book that we can only ever see something from, say, one physical perspective at once. So I might be standing here looking at my phone. Right, I can see the front of my phone. I can focus on the camera. I can focus on whatever that thing is below the camera. I can focus on the speaker. I can focus on the pause button on the side. I can focus on myself in the image. And all of these things are happening right now. Now, I can't focus on all of those things at the same time. I can only focus on one of them. But when I'm focusing on one of them, the other things don't disappear. They're still there. They're just not in my attention. They're not part of my conscious attention. They're just like periphery things. But they still create a picture of knowledge as to what this thing actually is. Okay, so maybe I'm making some assumptions, right? And those assumptions are perhaps happening in the background, because if I was to make conscious assumptions about everything all the time, then I would get nowhere. So I'm making an assumption that if I talk to myself, that this will create a video. Okay, I make an assumption that when I'm not looking at the timer at the bottom, that the video is still recording even when I'm looking over here. Okay, so I have faith in that, and perhaps that's because it has done every other time in the past. But that's still part of my knowledge of the thing, right? So if you put a dog in my position, looking at the same phone, the dog would probably even struggle to press the record button, because dogs don't necessarily conceive of the world in that way. Why would a dog need to record something? Okay, that serves no purpose to the dog. The dog just goes about its day, experiencing reality in the way it experiences reality, right? Humans use technology in order to enhance or experience the world in a different sort of way, right? And maybe that's extremely trivial, and that's possible, but I think it also says something quite important, and I'm not sure what that is. What conclusion could you draw from that? Well, I guess one way of looking at it is that we are biased, right? We're biased based on our phenomenology, based on our perceptual framework. Okay, it means that we're not objective, which I guess is another way of saying that we're biased. And I don't know. There is another conclusion you could drive, that there is no truth outside of experience. And is that true? Well, that seems to be... Here we go. That seems to be a truth statement. Okay? There is no truth outside of experience. Well, is that statement true? Is that statement just true to me? Because that's a prescriptive statement. Prescriptive? That's a descriptive statement about some sort of metaphysic. And it's self-refuting. If there is no truth, then the statement also cannot be true. So, but then, I don't know, if everything boils down to experience and subjectivity, then does logic exist at all? And I'm not sure. Seems to. Anyway, the video's gonna go in like 10 seconds, so I'm gonna leave it there. I hope that was interesting remotely. I'm not sure if it was, so thank you.